There's a huge myth in duck hunting that nearly everyone believes, and it's keeping you from getting your birds. But not after today's video. I'm Joel Strickland, and this is Surviving Duck Season. You thought this was Photoshopped, didn't you? It's real. Surviving Duck Season is presented by Mojo and High and Dry Waders. Hey everyone, thanks for watching Surviving Duck Season, where we feed your waterfowl obsession and help you maximize your hunting experience. And today, we're doing that by talking about the biggest myth in duck hunting. And the majority of duck hunters actually think it's true. Y'all really need to pay attention to this one, because there's a lot of information that will help you. So you're wondering, well, what could that be? Realism, or more accurately, hyperrealism. Well, shouldn't our decoy spread look realistic? Yeah. Shouldn't we sound like a real duck? I suppose. But there's more to it than meets the eye. The question is, how important is being realistic to duck hunting? I'll throw geese in here too. Well, I've heard guys, lots of guys, say, well, I just make everything realistic. Well, what's that mean? Best looking decoys you can get. All right, well, let's be honest. We're talking about flock decoys. Fully flocked. Man, they do look good, but they're also really expensive. And by the way, if we're going with realistic, they have to be life size. So while we're talking about realistic, let's talk about motion decoys. Most of that stuff doesn't look that realistic. I mean, spinners, be honest, they look ridiculous, don't they? Have you ever seen one of those duck butts with the water squirting out the end of it? I mean, there's a bunch of companies that make them. We got to throw that one out too. Now let's talk about calling. When it comes to calling, all you got in your arsenal to blow is a quack, maybe a broken feed call, a greeting call, a chop chop. That's it. That's all they do. Everybody good with that? All right. No machine gun feed call, no comeback call, no high ball, and you can never get aggressive because that's just not realistic. Now that I've gotten through all this nonsense, the real question is, what does realistic look or sound like to a duck anyway? I mean, we're talking about a bird that has the brain the size of a pea. Now, we really don't know what ducks can see or hear, but we can go by their anatomy and the behavior we observe. As we know, a duck has his eyes on the sides of his head, just like this. Our eyes, humans, are on the front. Ducks are considered prey, not predators, and so that's why they need eyes on the sides of their heads. That way, biologists tell us that it helps them to be safer from predators because they have more peripheral vision, so they can see stuff coming from back here, that might get them. But the trade-off in that type of vision is it impairs their depth perception. Now we can look at their behavior, how they respond to our decoys. I've used life-size decoys, magnum, windsocks, silhouette decoys, decoys with dirt clods on them, faded out, nasty-looking decoys. I can't tell you how many times I've had birds land in the decoys right next to one that's laying on its side. This doesn't even qualify as a super magnum. I mean, this is like probably a standard size Canada goose shell right here. It's about, it's a little bit bigger than life size probably. And then check this out. I mean, this is like 10 times bigger. It's huge. But I guess the original intention is it helps you hide. You can even kind of put this on top of you when you're hunting, kind of lay down and set it on top of you and it'll hide you. But geese will still come into it. All right, how about this? This is a flambeau hen decoy from like, I don't know, probably 1988 or 89 or 90, somewhere in there. The horrible chocolate brown that doesn't even look like a hen mallard. It's just like plain painted. And check out this orange, blaze orange bill. I've always thought, even back then, I thought this is the stupidest looking thing. In fact, I've really got a bunch of these that I've painted over to make them look not so bright. But we still kill ducks using these dumb things. I got something right here that I bet most of you have never seen before. What's that? This is a Coke bottle decoy. Okay, so what you do is you put a Coke bottle in here, make a decoy, paint it up. That's what this is right here. Coke bottle, paint the sides, Stick it in there, you got a decoy. Yes, it's a thing. I don't remember when I got these, probably in the 80s, I would suppose. And you know, really, I don't quite understand why in the world you would do this. They look okay. I mean, really, it doesn't look that bad. It's not realistic if you want to. We're talking about realistic, but you can kill ducks over them. I promise you. All right, here's one for you. This is a homemade duck butt. I made this when I was a kid. I wanted some duck butts, and I took a paper mache decoy that I had no business cutting, but I wanted one that's all I had to hunt with, and I put some foam in the bottom of it and drilled put some lead, some weights in the bottom of it, and I had my own duck butt. I'm not sure why I ever had that. I have used and still use Mojo spinning wing decoys and just about every type of motion decoy that you can imagine. And I continue having great success with lots and lots of them. If you've watched any of my other videos, you already know that I'm an aggressive caller. I call loud and I call often. In the last 10 years, I've had better success with that style of calling than the reserve style of calling I used to do for years before that. Here's the deal. There are lots and lots of things that we do in duck hunting that aren't realistic per se, but not to me as a human, but it works on a duck or a goose. They respond to it. To me, in duck hunting, the word realistic equals safe. By trying to be too realistic, you may be limiting yourself to opportunities. By being too reserved or too cautious, you may be losing ducks that you might be getting trying something different. So don't let realism get in the way of you having a successful day duck hunting. Virtually every decoy that's made today is completely adequate for you to buy and use for duck hunting. You can get hand-me-down decoys, find used decoys at a garage sale, or if you've got the money and you want to spend it on some good quality decoys, you should do that. I mean, you get what you pay for, and you definitely get longevity out of better quality decoys. But, you know, I don't want to discourage even, you know, a guy that is just getting started and doesn't want to spend thousands of dollars on his gear. You don't have to. But my point is, don't limit yourself in either direction. Don't limit yourself to one way of thinking when you duck hunt. Because limiting what you use and your techniques, it also limits your potential of how many ducks you bring home at the end of the day. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. For every person watching this video, do you want to be a better duck hunter? Well, I answer yes to that question. And the best duck hunters I know would answer yes to that question. No matter what skill level you are, brand new or you've hunted for 50 years. To be better, you need to find out what other guys are doing to be successful and add those things to your bag of tricks. Now, duck hunting is different everywhere. Too many variables. Habitat, location on the flyway, the time of year, weather, food in your area, hunting pressure, a whole bunch of other stuff too. And what regularly works for me will work for most guys who hunt, you know, within maybe 100 miles of me. But you're probably not going to be calling like I do if you're hunting in North Texas or Alabama or some other places like that. But there are tons of other things that I do that may work for you, you know, a few times or maybe lots of times a year. Think about it though. There's a reason why things work. Certain devices, techniques, you know, whatever. And it has to do with the area that you're hunting in. Some things are universal, but some things are location specific. People do things that work well for them where they hunt. And it's so important that we try to learn from one another. Find out what works for other guys and where they're hunting. Sometimes those things can apply to us where we hunt. I've hunted all over North America, and I've picked up so many techniques from what guys use in their areas, and I've tried them out where I hunt. There's always a reason why things work. And if you want to be a better duck hunter, you really need to understand why they do. Here's another great video right here that will help you maximize your hunting experience. And if you want to see an incredible duck hunt from 20 years ago, check out that video right there and feed your waterfowl obsession. I'm Joel Strickland. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.